A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant escalation of military rhetoric, Russia has announced that it no longer considers itself bound by a self-imposed moratorium on the deployment of nuclear-capable intermediate-range missiles. This declaration, made by the Russian Foreign Ministry, raises alarms about a potential new arms race as tensions between Moscow and Washington continue to heighten, particularly in the context of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The statement issued on Monday directly links Russia's decision to what it perceives as provocative actions by the United States and its allies, specifically the development and planned deployment of intermediate-range weapons in Europe. The Russian Foreign Ministry pointed to U.S. plans to introduce Typhoon and Dark Eagle missiles in Germany starting next year, arguing that these actions create a destabilizing missile potential near Russian borders, posing a direct threat to the nation's security. The ministry warned that such developments could lead to significant harmful consequences for both regional and global stability, potentially escalating tensions between nuclear powers. While the Kremlin did not specify the exact measures it might take in response, President Vladimir Putin had previously indicated plans to deploy Orshnik missiles in Belarus later this year, a move that could further complicate the security landscape in Eastern Europe. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov emphasized that Russia is no longer bound by any limitations, asserting the country's right to take necessary steps as it sees fit. He stated, "Russia no longer has any limitations. Russia no longer considers itself to be constrained by anything." This statement underscores a broader shift in Russia's military posture, suggesting a readiness to respond decisively to perceived threats. In the face of this escalation, the Russian Foreign Ministry noted that decisions regarding specific response measures would be made based on an interdepartmental analysis of the scale of deployment of American and other Western land-based intermediate-range missiles, along with the overall international security situation. This careful approach indicates that while Russia is willing to assert its military capabilities, it is also weighing the geopolitical ramifications of its actions. The timing of Russia's announcement coincides with heightened tensions following remarks made by former U.S. President Donald Trump, who ordered the repositioning of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines in response to what he described as highly provocative statements from Dmitry Medvedev, a prominent figure in Russian politics and former president. Trump's remarks came as he set a deadline for the Kremlin to reach a peace deal in Ukraine, further intensifying the already fraught relations between the two nations. Medvedev, who serves as deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, has made a series of provocative statements that seem aimed at reinforcing his standing with Putin and signaling Russia's readiness to confront perceived threats. Last week, Medvedev warned Trump against playing the ultimatum game with Russia, framing each new ultimatum as a potential step toward war. He characterized Russia's withdrawal from the moratorium as a consequence of NATO's anti-Russian policies, suggesting that the current geopolitical climate necessitates a re-evaluation of Russia's military strategy. In a post on social media platform X, he stated, "This is a new reality all our opponents will have to reckon with. Expect further steps." The implications of Russia's decision are profound, particularly given the historical context of intermediate-range missiles. These weapons, capable of flying between 500 to 5,500 kilometers, 310 to 3,400 miles, were previously banned under the 1987 Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces (INF) Treaty, which the U.S. and Russia abandoned in 2019 amid accusations of violations from both sides. The collapse of this treaty has reignited fears reminiscent of the Cold War, particularly the European missile crisis, when both superpowers deployed intermediate-range missiles on the continent. Such weapons are inherently destabilizing due to their shorter flight times compared to intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can lead to hasty decision-making in a crisis and increase the risk of accidental or miscalculated nuclear conflict. Russia's Missile Forces chief has indicated that the new Orshnik intermediate-range missile, which was first used in Ukraine last November, has the capability to reach all of Europe. The Orshnik missile can carry both conventional and nuclear warheads, and Putin has praised its advanced capabilities, noting that its multiple warheads can strike targets at speeds up to Mach 10, making them difficult to intercept. The potential deployment of such missiles in Belarus and the broader implications for European security cannot be overstated. As NATO countries reassess their own security postures in light of Russia's aggressive stance, the specter of a renewed arms race looms large. The situation calls for careful diplomatic engagement to avoid further escalation and to seek avenues for de-escalation in the region. As both sides navigate this tense landscape, the stakes could not be higher, with the prospect of nuclear confrontation hanging in the balance. In conclusion, Russia's recent announcement marks a pivotal moment in international relations, with the potential to reshape the security dynamics in Europe and beyond. The world watches closely as both Moscow and Washington grapple with the consequences of their military postures and the need for strategic stability in an increasingly volatile geopolitical environment. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.